USAID over the past several years, these are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either, and that's exactly what Elon Musk has been tasked by President Trump to do, to get the fraud, waste, and abuse out of our federal government. Thank you, guys.
What's up, y'all? Gerald here, creator of Gospel Chops and your host for this YouTube channel, back with another video. Now, y'all, we got to talk about USAID today. And I know the name sounds like something giving, something generous from the U.S. government. U.S. aid? Oh, we're giving aid to other countries? Well, we know that the United States does that all around the world, so it seems fitting, but y'all, that name is a misnomer. Doesn't stand for aid at all. USAID, which is the way they pronounce it because they don't want to say aid, USAID stands for United States Agency for International Development, and that itself is a misnomer. Why? Because the word development is such a subjective term. Subjective in that development means growth or advancement, and some people might see it that way. But it may not mean that to someone like myself who has studied government, who has followed government. Development may in fact be replaced with detrimental or devolution. United States Agency for International Destruction. How about that? Well, y'all, we have a little controversy brewing here in Washington, D.C., in that Donald Trump has placed Elon Musk as the head of Doge. And Donald Trump 2.0 is much smarter, y'all. He's much more savvy than Donald Trump 1.0. So don't compare it to his first administration. He's doing things differently now, and I need you to pay attention. He put Elon Musk in place as an advisor to the administration, but he knew that it would be too controversial to try to make him a cabinet member or a member of his administration. So what he did was he left him as an outside advisor. He shielded him. And he said in a recent interview, they said, oh, well, are you going to give Elon Musk an office in the White House? He said, no, not at all. What we're going to do is give his staffers, the staffers of Doge, we're going to give them an office in the White House. We're going to hire about 20 of them. And they're going to implement policies that are agreed upon between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Y'all, what this has led to is the uncovering of USAID, which is, according to some people, according to many people familiar with the organization over the last few decades, is a CIA front that goes into countries around the world and overturns governments, overthrows governments, implements policies in governments that will upset the apple cart, if you will, upset the social structure of other governments. This is the dirty work that Donald Trump spoke of in his first administration. He was like, you think the United States is innocent? You think our hands ain't dirty? And they was like, Mr. President, you can't say that. Well, he was a little wet behind the ears then. He was one of the don't knows. But now, y'all, he's had an experience in his first term. He's had 4 years to sit back and watch Joe Biden destroy this country. He's had 4 years to sit back and let it fester, knowing that he won the election, knowing that it was stolen from him, and now he comes back bigger, better, stronger. In his second administration, and y'all, he is no holds barred. He is saying, Elon, go in there, do what you need to do. But I'm the president. I'm the boss hog of this situation. You make sure you come back to me to get approval for what you need to do. Well, y'all, Elon Musk and his staffers, who have faced much retribution on this internet. They have doxed these people. They have exposed these people. They have threatened these people. They have uncovered some things, not only at USAID, but also at the Treasury Department. That's right. That's right. Y'all may not want to believe it, but Scott Bessent, Donald Trump's new Treasury Secretary, gave authorization for Elon Musk's Doge staff to go into the Treasury Department Do an audit. Look around. Sniff around. Turn some furniture over and see what you uncover. And y'all, they are uncovering things, and these Democrats are scrambling because some of them stuck their hands in the cookie jar, and some of them left fingerprints behind that are going to be uncovered. Well, this controversy is bubbling out of control because Elon Musk's staffers have uncovered some things in USAID that this government shouldn't be doing. And if you knew about it as a taxpayer, you wouldn't even authorize this country to be doing those things.
For Elon Musk to have access to the payment systems at Treasury?
Well, he's got access only to letting people go that he thinks are no good if we agree with him. And it's only if we agree with him. He's a very talented guy from the standpoint of management and costs. And we put him in charge of seeing what he can do with certain groups and certain numbers. Some of the numbers are horrible, what he's found. Think of it, $100 million on condoms to Hamas, and many other things that are frankly even more ridiculous. And they're finding tremendous waste, really waste more than anything else, I think you could say. Probably fraud and abuse could be added to it, the more standard waste, fraud, and abuse. But they're finding tremendous amounts of really bad things, bad spending. You've been writing about some of it, frankly, and some of the things that they've been doing is just terrible. Elon can't do and won't do anything without our approval, and we'll give him the approval where appropriate. Where not appropriate, we won't. But he reports in, and it's something that he feels very strongly about, and I'm impressed because he's running, obviously, a big company. It has nothing to do if there's a conflict that we won't let him get near it. But he does have a good natural instinct. He's got a team of very talented people. We're trying to shrink government, and he can probably shrink it as well as anybody else, if not better. Where we think there's a conflict or there's a problem, we won't let him go near it. But he has some very good ideas, and we have a lot of very other talented people also. We're bringing in the most talented people.
USAID is a bowl of worms. Mm-hmm. There is no apple. And when there is no apple, you've just got to basically get rid of the whole thing. That is why it's got to go. You know, it's beyond repair. None of this could be done without the full support of the president. Actually checked with him a few times. Said, are you sure? I'm like, yes. So we're shutting it down.
Well, sources confirming to Fox that USAID headquarters are in fact closed today, coming as President Trump and, as you heard, Elon Musk agreed the Agency for International Development needs to be shut down after failing to be transparent with their budget of billions. With us now, the former head of global health at USAID under President Biden, Atul Gawande. Thank you so much for being here. I want to put up your op-ed that you wrote in the New Yorker, the headline, "Beyond the Chaotic Attempt to Freeze Federal Assistance, the Potential for Devastation," you write, "is made plain by another order concerning the crucial work of USAID." You heard the criticism there about the budget and the spending. What's the response?
What's happening right now is dangerous for the United States and humanity. These are people shutting down an agency and having no clue the work that is being done. I'm a surgeon. I led global health at USAID, and I can tell you, these are programs touching hundreds of millions of people around the world on a budget that's half the budget of the hospital where I do surgery. Let me give you some critical examples. Number one, in the last 4 years, USAID responded in containing 21 serious outbreaks of deadly diseases at risk of coming to the United States. There is an Ebola outbreak right now in Uganda that is killing people, and USAID, all activities have been shut down. That work is critical and is not even happening. There is an HIV. 20 million people, of whom 6.5 million are children with HIV, where the global program that USAID leads with other parts of the U.S. government has been shut down. Those are people whose medicines are required for them to stay alive. I can go on down the list: eradication of malaria and polio and so on. This is dangerous. It is bad for American security.
So y'all, I need you to put your thinking cap on like this red beanie I'm wearing here and understand. If you can process thoughts freely, if you can break away from government intervention into your mental state and say, hey, I'm an independent thinker. Maybe you're an independent voter like me, a registered independent, and you can look at this situation and say, hey, what are y'all doing with our tax dollars? What has this government been up to? And when somebody wants to look under the hood and see what's going on there, why are you so resistant? Why is the deep state so deep? Well, y'all, this is the state of things as Donald Trump comes through there like a bull in a china shop. Just 2 weeks into his new administration, he wrecking shop, y'all. Can you imagine 4 years of this? Boy, y'all, Secret Service, y'all better do your job. Because there is going to be so much resistance to what this man is doing. He is shutting down USAID. That needs to be shut down. If you saw the clip in the beginning of the video, you saw some of the things they've been funding around the world. That does not progress American interests. That does not support American interests. That does not develop anything but foolishness. So we have to assume that there have been leftists, Democrats controlling that organization for some time now. Well, I ain't mad to see that house of cards fall. But let's dig into the Treasury, see what's going on there. Let's see who's been working from home, double dipping with other jobs, other full-time jobs, taking a salary from the American taxpayer. Let's look into all of it. Let's look into the FBI. Let's look into the IRS. That will pressure you and shut your business down. What has been going on behind the iron curtain of the IRS? Let's take a look. Doge, get to work. You got a lot of work to do. I understand you're well staffed and you're doing a great job. Salute and tip of the cap to you. However, be prepared for the retribution that is going to come. Not only to the staffers, but to Elon Musk. Not only to Elon Musk, but to the president himself as we move forward. Y'all, we just 2 weeks in. This man's administration is not even confirmed yet. We're moving forward and we feel good about it, but this USAID situation, y'all, is turning out to be the very conduit that the deep state used to take your tax dollars, send it out to other countries. Donald Trump just said, I just saw Donald Trump say this in the White House, in the Oval Office, just an hour ago. He went live. And that's the thing I love about Donald Trump, y'all. When he ain't the head of the news cycle, he will just say, hey, invite the press in. We're going to talk live. We're going to take it over again because I need my name to be at the head of the news cycle. He just said, not even an hour ago, that there is so much corruption. I wonder, as president of the United States, as I sit here in the Oval Office, I wonder if this was the conduit that they were using to shoot money out to these NGOs all around the world, just in order to get kickbacks. Yeah, we're going to circle back and collect that check. I have the authorization in this department, this USAID, this governmental entity that can send money, billions of dollars, y'all. Billions of dollars every year, sending billions of dollars all over the country. Where does it go? What does it affect? Transformer comic books? Transformer ideology? Condoms to certain countries? Seems like all of these initiatives by this department, these were left-wing initiatives. Seem like, if you think like I think and you believe like I believe, seem like they were making up stuff in order to send money out the door. Well, how was that money circling back to the United States? Because you don't get something for nothing.
Everyone can look this up if you're listening right now. In 2021, the U.S. Special Forces Perspective, under Mark Milley, our chairman of the Joint Chiefs, put out an entire instruction manual for how the U.S. military can work with the State Department and our intelligence services to organize a rental riot, to destabilize a country in order to bring them to the negotiating table. They gave an example of a hypothetical West African country where a member of U.S. Special Forces is on a separate mission, driving down a highway, and notices a billboard for Chinese infrastructure investment into a new port in this Western African country. The unit takes note of this billboard on a highway in Western Africa with Chinese symbols on it. They do their own investigation and figure out that this is part of a real estate development project from Chinese investors, that as part of that development project will have the construction of a Chinese naval port in this West African country, where in theory, China would then be able to project naval influence in the Atlantic Ocean. What the Special Forces Guide calls for is coordination with the State Department, coordination with our intelligence services, coordination with our psychological operations unit to take all of our assets in that West African region. And in that case, what they did is they planned to work with the unions. What they did is they embarked in a social media influence campaign. They would activate all their media assets, all of their civil society institutional assets, and all of their union assets to have the union labor pool in that West African country. Well, actually, there was one thing that happened first, is they first then went, in this hypothetical, the State Department sent a delegation to persuade the West African country to forbid the development license to the Chinese developer. And the head of that West African government said no. Because something was happening in the hypothetical in the next 30 days, there was a time sensitivity to generate an instability event to stop this using time-sensitive emergency. And so the way they generated that was they worked with their union contacts in the region and the media contacts in the region and created this whole social media campaign to inflame the sentiments of the West African labor union workforce who were working for Chinese companies at the time. Because in this hypothetical, the Chinese mining firms and Chinese industry was employing a lot of these Africans. And it was to destabilize the country, to bring the mines, to bring the factories, to bring all of the Chinese production in the region to a halt, and to put all these Africans out of jobs, and to bring the African government effectively to a standstill. At the same time, in their own Special Forces manual, it called for support from U.S. aid to provide these same striking miners alternative jobs, so that while they were striking from the Chinese labor companies, they were still getting paid by U.S. taxpayers. So they were financially bribed effectively to boycott Chinese industry and to devastate their own country's government, create this crisis, and then use the State Department delegation to go back to the negotiating table with the West African government and promised to end the destabilization if the development was halted. And in that hypothetical, the West African government then rejects the license for the real estate development of China, and that is declared as an unalloyed success by the U.S. Special Forces and their partner network in the State Department and intelligence. And this is the way of our diplomacy in 2021. And this is all publicly available if you look at the Special Forces prospectus. And when this goes live, I'll post this on my X account at Mike Ben Cyber, so that you can, don't take my word for it.
Well, look, I mean, my frustration with USAID goes back to my time in Congress. It's a completely unresponsive agency. It's supposed to respond to policy directives of the State Department, and it refuses to do so. So the functions of USAID, there are a lot of functions of USAID that are going to continue, that are going to be part of American foreign policy, but it has to be aligned with American foreign policy. I said very clearly during my confirmation hearing that every dollar we spend and every program we fund, that will be aligned with the national interest of the United States. And USAID has a history of sort of ignoring that and deciding that there's somehow a global charity separate from the national interest. These are taxpayer dollars. And so I'm very troubled by these reports that they've been unwilling to cooperate with people who are asking simple questions about what does this program do, who gets the money, who are our contractors, who's funded. And that sort of level of insubordination makes it impossible to conduct a sort of mature and serious review that I think foreign aid writ large should have.
Yeah, these deep state actors want you to believe that they are sending money around the world to combat AIDS. But how does $1? Y'all, some of y'all got $1 in your purse, pull it out, wave it in the air. How does that dollar combat AIDS? Well, it doesn't. It funds organizations, it funds governments, it funds people who take action. Well, how do we know that those actions are effective and efficient? How do we measure the efficacy of those people around the world that are getting that money? We don't know. And these people feel like they are unaccountable bureaucrats. Thank goodness for Elon Musk, who has shut down this department, locked these folks out of their own computers. He said, look, if you don't let my team in and give them access, they try to block Elon's team from even getting access to USAID computers. He said, if you don't let us in this building, we're going to call the U.S. Marshals. We're going to turn over some furniture in this piece. And they let him in. They had no choice. And what they found on those systems, y'all, has yet to be released in full. But when we find it out, what we anticipate is some of the greatest reports of corruption, governmental corruption that we have seen in this country in our lifetime. It's going to be exposed. Just like he bought Twitter and exposed everything that was going on there, we expect him to do the same for the U.S. government. And boy, if you can just expose the truth, if you could just shine a little light on that darkness in U.S. government, boy, it will be worth it 100%. It will be worth my vote for Donald Trump and MAGA to get y'all in place just to shine a light on the foolishness and expose it all. I'm here for it. Thank you, Elon. Thank you, Mr. Trump.
2016 is election cycle, and you guys have the ability to make an impact on where our nation is headed, not only here in the United States, but even in our nation back home.
It is really, really a sad day in America. We are witnessing a constitutional crisis. We talked about Trump wanting to be a dictator on day one, and here we are. This is what the beginning of dictatorship looks like. When you gut the Constitution and you install yourself as the sole power, that is how dictators are made. What Trump and Elon and all of their cronies are trying to do is take away the constitutional power of Congress. I am exceptionally upset about USAID. I lived in a refugee camp for 4 years as a child surviving civil war. It is the essential programs that USAID provided that kept my family and I fed and safe. It is the resources that so many people around the world rely on. And it is our soft power. Oftentimes, people interact with our country through the military. That does not create love for us, and it certainly does not keep us safe. When the world...
As you probably saw, Elon Musk and his crew put a gag order on AID employees. They disconnected them from email, which is putting lives at risk around the world. So we are here to enter the building, and so we can hear firsthand from whoever is here at AID, or at least witness firsthand what is happening with this Elon Musk attempted takeover, which will not stand. We will prevail. Let's go.
Elon Musk, you didn't create USAID. The United States Congress did for the American people. And just like Elon Musk did not create USAID, he doesn't have the power to destroy it. And who's going to stop him? We are. We're going to stop him. Elon Musk, you may have illegally seized power over the financial payment systems of the United States Department of Treasury, but you don't control the money of the American people. The United States Congress does that under Article 1 of the Constitution. And just like the president who is elected to something cannot impound the money of the people, we don't have a fourth branch of government called Elon Musk. And that's going to become real clear.
The senator from Connecticut, Senator Chris Murphy.
Thanks, man. So Elon Musk has been floating all sorts of awful, terrible conspiracy theories about what happens at USAID. Let's make it very clear that every single day America is safer because of what happens at USAID. USAID fights terrorist groups all across this world, making sure that we address the underlying causes for a retreat to terrorism. USAID chases China all around the world, making sure that China doesn't monopolize contracts for critical minerals and port infrastructure all around the world. It supports freedom fighters everywhere in this world. Up until yesterday, delivering firewood, for instance, to the brave Ukrainian defenders on the Eastern Front.
And there you have it, y'all. Did you think the Democrats were going to go down without a fight? No, they're going to fight, kicking and screaming with everything they have. Why? Because some of them are guilty as sin. If not having a hand in the financial cookie jar and extracting money from kickbacks from NGOs, if not that, they are guilty of propagating and promulgating ideologies around the world. These left-wing ideologies that will destroy societies with these transgender ideas, these transformer concepts, these ideologies that will destroy cultures around the world and get them to be left-leaning so that they can attack America not only from the inside, but from the outside in other governments and other countries that will put pressure on America to conform to left-wing ideology. No, you got caught. You got busted before you could enact your plan, and here you are, flailing, flapping in the wind like a fish out of water. You're just flapping because your plan failed. You didn't have enough time to implement it. Joe Biden did not get reelected, and now the jig is up for all y'all, and you're going to be exposed. Well, America is better off for it. Because the devil is a lie and the devil is being exposed by Doge. How about that? We glad about it. You can kick and scream all you want, but we are happy to have some transparency back in government so we can see what y'all been doing all this time. We knew it. Those of us who are level-headed Americans, we knew it. We felt it in our spirit. We knew that our tax dollars were being punked off. We knew that you were pushing this ideology upon our children. No matter how hard we worked, y'all were trying to put the pressure on our kids to go against the things that we taught them in our houses. It was stressful. It was hard. It was difficult. But now we got a president, and we know he ain't perfect. We know he ain't God. Y'all quit lying on the man. Quit lying on us. We don't believe in him as a deity. We just know that he's the best president for such a time as this. And we are glad to have him in the White House. We are glad to have Elon Musk as the first friend so that we can implement some policies that bring exposure to this government, bring some transparency to the American people, and we can feel better about this country. Yeah. Raise up, patriots. Be proud of that flag. Be proud of your history and understand that America is now on the trajectory of right. No, not right versus left, but right versus wrong. And at the end of the day, we're going to make America great again. How about that? Let me know what you think about it in the comments. I'd love to know your thoughts on this. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video so we can get more people involved in the conversation, y'all. And like I always say, always remember and never forget, without the gospel, it's just chops. Until next time, peace.